Welcome to Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. We're back in action, and we are happy to be with you guys today. This episode is brought to you by SBY MMA and Fitness. You know the vibes. Come over to SBY for all your combat sports needs. Check us out. We've got all kinds of different classes here. We got, obviously, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, Muay Thai boxing, wrestling, karate, you know, those disciplines. Kids classes. We also have conditioning classes, or you just want to work out like somebody that fights or just get the workout, so forth. We got one-on-one private sessions. We do seminars. We do workshops. You name it, we've got it. We've got a great culture of people here, great vibe of people. We range from, we got a toddlers program, so we range all the way from 2 years old all the way up to, we've got some 70-year-old members in here that are crushing it. So be sure to check us out, and mention this video, and receive a discount. Like we ask on all of the episodes, please like and subscribe. You know where all the platforms are, whatever one you're listening to, please go to that one. Give us a review, leave a comment, tell us what we can do better, tell us how this episode or any Champ Talk episode has impacted your life and gave you value. We do all our content for free. We just want to, push our stuff out to the world and give you guys the best versions and the best things that we can help of us. And if you know somebody that could get value from this, please share that with them. Like, subscribe, all the stuff, man. It's good. And today, folks, back in action. It's been so long. It feels like it's been an eternity. But we have the Mystic Chet back in the building. Chet, what it do, pimp?
Hey, it's good to be back.
What it do, pimp?
It's like it feels like an eternity, but also just feels like a blink of an eye. I don't know, but it's good to be setting. That was a nice intro. That was so well encapsulated and just full of info.
Thank you.
That. It's like
Thank
it's
you.
sharp.
I've been practicing, man.
I think you've done it a couple times,
dude. I've been practicing, man. I've been getting my reps in, but it's been a long trek. I like the word trek nowadays.
Trek.
Yeah, trek.
Like Star Trek.
Reminds me.
Do you
of
like Star
Shrek.
Trek?
No, I did not like Star Trek growing up.
None of it. Not the old stuff.
I didn't like Star Wars. I didn't like I didn't like anything space.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. I thought that was just like space is corny to me. Space and dinosaurs, I didn't like.
Huh.
You know what I mean? I was more into like Barbie and babies.
Barbies and babies instead of space and dinosaurs.
Yeah,
that's okay.
It's a vibe. Now, I like GI Joes and He-Man and stuff like that. I didn't.
Yeah,
space and dinosaurs, dude. I missed that. I missed that little part. I think.
Do you remember Micronauts, or was that before your time?
Micronauts. I remember Micro Machines.
Micronauts were fun.
Remember Micro Machines?
No.
They were little teeny Hot Wheels, and they had the Micro Machine Man that would get on there in the commercials.
Oh, no, I don't remember that one.
Dude, Saturday morning cartoons were like the shit back in the day. Like, you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Live for that.
Dude.
It was like, you're waiting for the weekend. Why? Because Saturday morning cartoons.
Yep.
And Saturday, sometimes I went, and it's like Saturdays and Sundays, you had the cartoons. Rainy days were good because that was going to be like tomato soup and grilled cheese, all the comfort stuff and cartoons. Then you had like the Kung Fu Theater.
Yes.
And stuff.
Yes.
Sometimes like when I lived in PA, it was like a Saturday, but here I think it was Sunday for some reason.
Yep.
But yeah, it was like just those cool, and even some of the Westerns like were cool.
I missed the Westerns too. My dad watched a lot of Westerns, and I was just like,
but Kung Fu Theater, man, like waiting for that. It's like after the cartoons, and it's like, oh,
we watched a lot at my house?
What's that?
Soul Train.
Soul Train?
Yeah. Yeah, we watched a lot, like, not oddly enough, but like it really wasn't like that. We watched a lot of black television. Sanford and Son, Cosby Show, Full House, or not Full House, Family Matters. You know what I mean?
Classics,
like, dude. Of course, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know what I mean? Martin, like those In Living Color. I mean, you name it, dude. We grew up on.
Well, that was the other thing too, like the music shows, because you had American Bandstand and Soul Train.
I watched Soul Train. Yep.
Something else too.
A lot of Soul
that
Train
came on. It was like they're around the same time.
My dad couldn't dance a lick, but he would play Soul Train like it was going out of business. I mean, we loved it, dude. And then also we had wrestling. Wrestling came on Saturday. You know what I mean? Yep. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I remember they had a video on Facebook I seen the other day of the explosion of the Challenger space rocket. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
How it interrupted everything. It was like a big deal. And
this one is, do you remember what you were doing?
Yeah.
I do. I remember we had a snowstorm. We were sledding at the Elks. And when we came back, it was all over TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching literally some sort of TV show, and boom, it popped up. And so 86, I was 5 years old. So I didn't really know exactly what I was seeing. I just seen this rocket blow up in space. And Anyway, it brought me back to back. You know, we lived in a trailer out of West Side Trailer Park out there off Nanico Road. So that's where I was at. We were watching, I think, Soul Train or something, where the, you know, what was it called, where they broke up the daytime show when they had some sort of major thing. They called it a special report or some shit.
Oh yeah, it would be preempted by a special report.
Yeah. And
breaking news.
And I just remember that, man. And you know, you just saw this over and over and over again. I'm like, holy crap, you know what I mean? And it got me thinking about nowadays. It's like nowadays, like you'd hear about that, and you know, like I mean, obviously the planes that went down, horrible tragedies in DC that just happened, and Philly, and you heard about it. Now it's like, we're done. Move on to the next one. Because we're so saturated with so many, you know, I mean, so much stuff online. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah, the saturation leads to that desensitized, you know, state that it's like, you know, it's horrible and tragic, whatever it is, but it's kind of like, okay, then it's the life cycle isn't there as much.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's gone because there's something else horrible happens within the next 24 hours.
Gosh,
and it's all real time. Your phone starts dinging. It's not even like, you know, oh, you missed the preempted show. Like what happened, you know, that night. There's people finding stuff out like even the next day because it wasn't real time.
Different video angles and things like that. Yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. And it kind of got me thinking about my mortality a little bit. Like, you know how they say, well, you know, when you die, they're just going to move right on with life and this, that, and the third. I'm like,
yeah,
they can move on a lot faster than we think they are, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I dosed that yesterday too. Unfortunately, you know, lost another friend, but it was like, that was one of the things we were talking about. It's just like, you know, how fast things move now. And, you know, even when your parents told you years ago, oh, you know, wait till you get older, time flies. It's like, man, it's so true. And it's even accelerated even more now.
Do you think,
it's crazy.
Do you think that,
but it gets you thinking about,
sure. Do you ever think that, like, because of how fast everything's moving and how things are going, do you ever think that, you know, let me back up. One, I hate the people that say, you know, they want things how they used to be. Things will never be how they used to be. That's just not a thing, right? And, you know, to have some sort of nostalgia about, you know, how things were when you grew up or how things were back in the day or whatever, it's just not a real thing. Now, I do appreciate and like how trends recycle and they come back around and things like that. But do you ever think that we're going to be in a space where, like, potentially like social media and content and all that stuff's going to be gone and we'll be back to like reading books and communicating like normal people?
I don't see how that can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people choose even now to do that where they choose to shut it off and they choose to, you know, read a book instead of scrolling. But I don't see it like overall. Nah, I don't see it going backwards.
Well,
I think that makes like when you appreciate the nostalgia, I think it makes it even more special. Like when you do pick up a book and you read a book, or when you put a record on a turntable, or you go to see live music versus watching a video. When you go to
because live music, like more country / folk, has now taken the front seat now, right now, in trending, because basically so many people are like tired of hearing you know, electronic type of sound.
Yeah, well, it goes back to that high tech, high touch thing. People want high tech, but we also, I think, are kind of at some point craving for that human connection. So yeah. And again,
I asked that because, like, you know, you got to think that there's going to be some sort of carryover when it comes to like the way that, like, the youth. You know what I mean? The youth doesn't view social media quite as we do. We do. And then also, when I say the youth, I'm talking about like the young youth, like the, you know, the 10-year-olds, the 14-year-olds, about that bracket, right? Because they're like so indoctrinated in the social media, where, you know what I mean, the 20-year-olds and 24-year-olds, I think they were really, really prone to like the psychological damages of, you know, the anxieties of social media and the depressions of social medias. And then you look at like the 30 to 40-year-olds around this age, or 30 to the 32-year-olds around this age, they kind of have a different perspective. Like, it seems like every 10 years, there's like this different kind of view, you know, on social media and content and all that. And then I just wonder, like, would the kids coming up nowadays, the little kids coming into it, would they see it as like this old ancient way
Yes.
of doing things, like the
They-
record, like get out of here?
No, they
old
already
geezer.
are.
Yeah.
That's I can tell you for my 14-year-old. Like that's kind of the thing. It's like they like her and her friends are using certain platforms now just to communicate,
Yeah.
and they really don't give two shits about what mom or dad or grandparents or older brothers and sisters even are doing on like Instagram and Facebook. Like they really don't care, and they're not even to like the. I mean, I know some are, obviously they're going to be, but like just that little section that I'm seeing is like they don't care about any of it. Like Snapchat, like they don't care about any of it. They're doing, and they use these other ways of communicating, and but that's what they use it for. But it's not as broad. It's like it's more private. If that makes sense.
Like real isolated and to the point.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah.
I know my daughter, she rarely uses Instagram. She's 18. She rarely uses Instagram. I know Snapchat's probably more up her alley. But rarely uses Instagram, rarely uses Facebook. You know, she'll do like what most kids do for Facebook, is kind of post the stuff that, you know, good for the family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that she does anything crazy, but like she'll do like her Instagram kind of is similar to like, you know, more family oriented stuff, you know, or just like, but nothing real major. She doesn't post a lot. She doesn't get on there a lot. And then she, you know, I do notice that she communicates through Snapchat, through different group texts. I know that's big and things like that. But it's interesting, man, because, you know, it's something, man. I laugh at. I had an incident. My claws were out yesterday, and I posted a post, and this is kind of relation to what we're talking about. I posted a post just praising God. Right? It was Sunday. I didn't go to church or anything, but I just had. I got like a boogie in my nose or something. You see anything?
I don't see anything.
Something's itchy. It's either a hair or something.
It could be this pollen. Shout out to
Maybe
the freaking
bees.
Man.
Bees in the trap. But anyway, I posted up. It was just a gratitude post, and you know, it was nothing shoving religion down your throat and nothing crazy. I just, you know, my faith has always been front and center. You know, I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in God. I also believe that God talks to us in our own language, and I think that, you know, if you really want me to get granular, and I mean, it's kind of all the same message, right? All the religions, right? It's all the same message. It's all the same. You got to go through me to get to where you want to go. You know, there are some, there's always radicals in all different religions. And I know where you stand, you know, as far as your belief structure. So I'm not trying to like jam anything down anybody's throat, but for me, you know, that's my personal belief, you know, and I struggle with the concept, and I've talked to many pastors and preachers, and I've struggled with the concept of thinking that, you know what I mean, Jesus Christ is the only way into the pearly gates. I know that probably the Bible thumpers are going to come after me, but I mean, if you're talking about that remote tribe that's in South America that no one's ever been able to contact, you know what I mean, and because they have never been exposed to Jesus Christ, are you telling me that generations that they don't go to heaven or whatever version? Even though they may, and I don't know if this is true, maybe praying to like a tree that says the same things that Christianity says and Jesus says, but it's just not Jesus. I have a hard time believing that and accepting that. And again, none of us know. That's the great thing about all faith and religion. None of us know. Faith is very strong. But I think that, you know, I think at the end of the day, those people, if they're living by the golden word, they're living by the right things to do, the golden rule, I should say, they're probably going to go to where they should go too. I don't think they're NPCs just playing a role into this world as like animals or anything. So anyway, I put a post up. I know I digress. Just saying, hey, look, I'm grateful of God and him not giving up on me. You know what I mean? Or her. Right. And thank you for this. And, you know, even though I've not always been as straight and narrow as I possibly could, you know what I mean? You were always there for me. And my cousin, she decided to jump on there. And again, my claws were out. She was on there. She's like, oh my gosh, this is so great. I'm so glad that you're, you know, you found Jesus and you're now you've got a relationship. Now, you know, this, that, and the third. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've always had a relationship. Like I've always been.
Did you read the post?
Right. I've always been You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to shit on my cousin because she's great. You know, she does a lot of things, but I'm going to, you know, say my piece. I've always been the type of person that, you know what I mean? Like God has always been, and faith has always been a strong part of my daily base. Not a devout, Bible thumping, jumping down your throat, going to church every weekend. I'm not saying that I'm that, and I'm not saying that but I've never strayed away from God, if that makes sense, right? I've never, you know, denounced my faith. I've never sat back and said, you know, why do you hate me, Lord? You know what I mean? I've always just, and I'm not better than anybody. This is just me. And I'm like, dude, what do you mean? I've always, you know, I've always believed. And she's like, oh, no. Believing in a relationship with God is so much different. And she gives me this Bible, and I'm like, well, when did you become the preacher, first of all? Second of all, I think you're a little disconnected because my faith has always been front and center. Just because you don't read my long posts and just because you're not in my life doesn't mean you know what the fuck you're talking about, right? And it rubbed me the wrong way, but I did have to back off and say, hey, look, it's all good. Because she would, well, I didn't meant this. And I'm like, it wasn't worth the argument and trying to go back and forth on Facebook about something like that. But I brought all that up because...
Well, see, that's why it's so confusing. See, even two Christians couldn't agree.
Jesus, there you go. Hey, man. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But I brought that up because... that's kind of like what I'm talking about is like how people just view, how these young people probably view that type of interaction as like this old stale way of communicating. You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of like, you know, hey, you want to talk about me, do you? We'll go out on the street. It's like, you know what I mean? Come on, dude. But you make a good point. You know, it's like people, it's just so crazy. Like people want to, and I'm not trying to make this about her or anything like that. I ended it with I love you and it's all good. But people want to jump on the religious bandwagon and the whatever religion you are. And they want to tell everybody how the fuck, you know, like recite Bible. I had somebody else comment and recite Bible quotes. I don't fucking care about your fucking Bible quotes. You know, look, I'm going to talk to the pastor about your Bible quotes. And I get we're supposed to, geez, we're on a tangent today. I get that we're supposed to, in religion, you know, it's very commonly practiced to go be a disciple and spread the word, right? I get that, right? Just as much as that kind of sounds like marketing to me, right? Like testimonial marketing, right? And I'm not. We're gonna piss some people off today. I know.
Well, I know you also have this idea that not everybody should have or deserves a platform, or like you have to earn that. That's. I mean, I'm generalizing your concept. I know.
For the people that are listening, I'm giving Chet the whole shrug emoji right now. Like,
but you said it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is I got so many people that comment on my posts. These long. And first of all, thank you. I'm not going to shit on you. I'm just going to keep it real, all right? Because I keeps it real up in this motherfucker. I got so many people that comment these long books on my posts, but don't post anything on their own fucking page, right? Like, save that for your post. Save that for your entertainment. Like, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I appreciate your feedback and back.
They just needed a prompt,
right? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh, and you know they want to give me these long Bible quotes or these one, you know, like. Thank you, I guess, but it's so like kind of like it's just kind of weird. It's a weird way to communicate. You know, it's kind of a strange way. I know we were going to talk about something else, but I think we're on to something today. Hey, we might get 6 whole views on this Champ Talk, so buckle up, folks. But I think it's a weird way to communicate with, you know, when you comment on somebody's shit. Like for instance, with my cousin, I was just like, where this was about to go with going back and forth, I just nipped it in the bud and just I threw the white flag. I'm like, I'm sorry. I said exactly this. I'm sorry, my claws are out. I love you. You know what I mean? But it was like I wasn't telling her. She was going to be right regardless of what it was. You know what I mean? First of all, I love her to death. She's a strong-willed woman, but I know that woman, right? That woman, this is my family. Not her in particular, but that version of that woman is my grandmother, my mother, her mother. Like, we're all the same. All of us, we're all the same. We're just these strong-willed.
And you know where it was going to go.
I didn't mean what I said, but I said what I meant. You know, it's like, hey. But, like, that's a DM.
Right.
Right. That's a direct message for those that don't know what DM stands for. That's a DM. Like, shoot me a message. Talk to me about it.
Or next time I see you at the barbecue, this is a side conversation.
Yes. And again, my claws were out, so I probably should have, you know what I mean, just ignored it. But I rarely ever comment on stuff like that too. Like, for some reason, what you mean? Like, I've been believing in God for my whole life. well, believing and having a relationship is totally different. Well, thank you. Please enlighten me about the word of God that I've never known in all these fucking 44 years of being existed. You know what I mean? But it goes to a point like that's how people want to jump on their new thing. And I'm not saying this again. I'm not bashing her. So because if you're listening, it ain't about you. You know what I mean? But if you want to be, DM me. Right? but people jump on these platforms and these boosts. You know what I mean? Like for me. I know this might sound horrible, right? I remember I got talking with an ex one time, and she was talking about she's in recovery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's in AA, and she was talking about how, you know what I mean, because of AA, because of God, all these things are now possible, right? And I'm like, yeah, I totally agree with that, but that's not an anchor I need to hold on to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe also there's a lot of responsibility as a free-willed human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
and so I believe 100% that God is, and this is my belief, okay, that God is responsible and end all. Like when people ask me about my relationship with God, I've prayed every night unless I fell asleep since I've been a little boy. I say my grace every day, and I don't say grace. God is good. God is great. I'm very thankful for this meal. I've eaten shit. You know what I mean? I've not had food. I lean on God and lean on my faith every day on all things. It's not that I lean on it in a way of when I need it. And most of my prayers are prayers of gratitude. I struggle with asking for prayers of, hey, can you please help this? Most of my prayers are, please don't take my babies away from me. Please protect my babies, right? Most of my prayers are, please take care of my girls and my grandkids. Please, and my son. Please, my family. I pray for, that's my prayers. And my relationship with God always can strengthen. I can always do better, but there's a responsibility that I have to play in this whole thing, right? These blind followers that just follow anything and then, recite a bunch of fucking verses and can't have and I'm not saying this is my cousin again, I got preference because she'll take this shit offensive. She'll think I thought about her. But these blind followers that can't have an independent thought that just recite anything off their head that they've heard and recycled.
Yeah.
I struggle with that. My other cousins talked about this too. He grew up in the church, and he's actually, anyway, I don't want to get too deep, but he's the opposite. He's like, fuck that. You know what I mean? I don't even believe in shit. And, we've had good conversations where, I've never pushed anything on him. I never told him he needs to pray like this. He needs to think like that. He grew up and he's like, he struggles with the same notion. He's like, bro, if I'm coming to you for some advice or some counsel, stop throwing fucking Bible scriptures at me, right? Like, I know those.
Like, how can you help me help myself?
Let's
Like, give me a little.
Let's have a human experience.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you want to wrap up what, the Bible's done for you, that's great. And I think that's a big thing. Like, people need to talk more about what the Bible's done for them or faith of any matter. I've prayed with every faith denomination there is. You know what I mean? Again, I think God talks to us in our own tongues. We're going to find out. Very, 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 very.
And you can take bits and pieces and the concepts, and if a good idea is a good idea.
Yeah. It's like politics.
Something that helps it's helpful.
Yes.
Like it doesn't have to be like way more complicated than that. But that's where a lot of people get turned off, though, is the other stuff you're talking about. It's like, okay, well, now you got them shut off when maybe you do have something helpful for them, but you lost them from the beginning.
Yeah. And one of my commitments this year was to strengthen my faith. I wanted to lean back more on my faith, because I will say this, we all have a tendency to stray away from things we're used to, not just faith. We stray away from our diets, our workout routines. We stray away from our relationships. We all have a tendency to stray away from things that, we get accustomed to. And I noticed last year that I still did all the things that I did with my faith. I still gave him the glory, but I wasn't making him or her more front center, right? I wasn't making my faith more, known, that, this is really working for me because of my religious or my faith beliefs, right? My faith with God, my relationship with God. This is why these things are happening. I have my responsibility into it, and I'm doing me, but ultimately this is because of God, right? Sometimes you wouldn't hear that. And then when it dawned on me at the end of the year, when I'm reflecting on my past year, looking forward to my future year, then I started thinking about, hey, what's important to me and what do I want to strengthen? And faith is one of them, right? Probably why we organically are doing this podcast right now. You know, we were going to talk about something completely different, and then we get into this conversation, and here we are. You know, and what's interesting is you know, it's your choice whether you want to talk about it or not. But I'm having this conversation with somebody who doesn't necessarily agree with me on a lot of these points that I'm making when it comes to my faith. You know what I mean? You're not wrong, or I'm not right, or anything in between. We're just having a great conversation, and we can connect on these conversations because you know what I'm doing, not doing. Well, Chet, did you know? Did you know that verse 10, you know, 2 Corinthians, that, you know what I mean? Like all these recited, you know, hymns or what do they call it? Scriptures, you know what I mean? Just throwing them at you because I've read them. I'm not doing that. I don't think that's right. You know what I mean? I don't think that's the way to go about it. And you have this outdated way of people just coming at you, trying to tell you how to do and live life. That's why I love Coach Sean, man.
I was going to say, there's, you know, a perfect example.
Yep. Sean McCarthy, man.
Somebody who is a pastor, but will also, I mean, just like in some of our meetings, some of the things he says, I'm like, man, it's spot on.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with, I mean, it might have something to do with faith or his faith or, you know, but where it came from, it doesn't matter. It's still good stuff, still valuable information. So
well, it has nothing to do with faith, but everything to do with faith, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah.
It comes from a place of that's what's important to him and his faith, but he's not jamming it down anybody's throat or telling anybody, but he has no hesitation to share the word with you or share what you know what I mean? It's such a great way that he balances that role of being a pastor and being able to keep those core values, keep that front and center, but also connect with the sinners and connect with the people that aren't into faith and do it in a way where, you know, he doesn't make anybody feel some type of way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think he feels any type of way because what does everybody do when a pastor comes around? Oh shit. Put this cigarette out. Don't say cuss words. You know what I mean? Everybody like straightens up, narrow. And you know, I do see Coach Sean cringe in some of the things I say in some of the things I say in the meetings because
not as much as Margot cringes.
Oh, Margot, man, his wife, she definitely gives me the side eye many times. You know, Coach Sean is a dangerous man, strong man. You know what I mean? He is a tough guy. He's a man's man. But I'll tell you what, I'm more scared of Margot, and I always have. I'm more intimidated by Margot than it. Let me tell you the story, right? So Margot, she's an accountant. She does our books. You guys know that. She doesn't, or you know that they don't. And the whole family is with us and kids, and Coach teaches for us and stuff like that. And when we expanded, I needed to get an accountant, right? Mm-hmm. I needed an HR person to keep us legal, and I needed an accountant to prepare our books for us. So Margot has her own business. I hired her services, and she texted me one morning when we first got our business agreement, right? And this was probably like a week or two in. She texted me one morning, and she's like, she says, "Hey, what's this charge on this, that, and that?" And my reply was,
I can't.
My reply was, honey, you know what I mean? I know the connect, and he brings it to me. Something along the line of that. And she did not care too much for that terminology, right? And I can't remember exactly how it went down, but she replied, and she's like, "Hey, look, I want to keep this relationship professional, so I would appreciate you if you would not call me honey." And I'm like no. No, it was for honey.
For honey.
It was actually for like real
the jars of honey. Yes.
That, right. And it was a hoot, Chet. It was a big hoot. We had a good old giggle about it. But how I knew she was the right fit because she stood up on that right away. Uh-huh. And I appreciated that, right? I appreciated that. You know what I mean? Because first of all, you don't call your fucking, friend's wife honey. I don't give a fuck what it is. You know what I mean? You don't do that. But at the same time, some people would, regardless, because of the relationship so close, or regardless if it's money or whatever, would just let that slide and feel uncomfortable and let that build over and over and over again. And next thing you know, you're getting sued for sexual harassment because, you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, the maid, right? You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to do that, right? But no, she checked. She's like, no, right away. She said, hey, look. First of all, I'm not your honey. Right?
No,
And this is
it's
another reason why I'm
literally-
scared of Margot, right? Because she ain't playing, right? You just
You
got to
better have a
command
jar
with
of honey waiting for her when she got here.
Yes,
Like,
Margot.
I swear, look.
Well, we got it. It's out front. It's for sale. We got honey. Like, it's real honey. That's what I meant. But yeah, she had a good laugh about that. We all did. But that's why I'm scared of Margot, because I know she don't play. But you know, back to what we were talking about. It's just, you know, I think that what's worked for me and what's opened up the conversation of faith with me, with people that wanted to know some counsel or wanted to know things, I just speak upon what works for me and what's happened for me. I'm not a holy roller. I'm not a Bible thumper, but I will tell you straight up, God is glory. God is king. He's the reason why I'm here. There's no other explanation for what he's done in my life. I have no explanation as to why and how I've been able to do or be or whatever.
What you've done while you're still here. All
Yeah,
above,
and Branden Hudson is not that good. I would love to walk around. You know my ego. I would love to walk around my chest. I'd be like, you damn right, dog. This was me. I built this. I did it. I would love to do that. The minute I do that, I lose everything. But I'm not that good. I got to be honest with you. My talent isn't that good. My hard work isn't. I'm committed. There's a lot of great things about me, and I own those good positive attributes. But having to be able to get what I've gotten and be where I'm at and have the people in my life, that's all God. You know what I mean? I can't explain that for me. I can't. And some people might say it's science or the universe or whatever. That's fine. Whatever you want to hang your hat on, I'm okay with it. It doesn't. We don't need to argue. Two things could be right at the same time. It could be science and it could be God. You know, you don't have to be wrong, and I don't have to, for me to be right, and vice versa. Like, we don't have to argue, and I don't need to hear why. And I think a big play that people make, a big mistake that people make when they talk to somebody who doesn't believe in God, and you've seen this firsthand, is instead of they'll ask you, so you don't believe in God? And you know, somebody will be like, well, no, you know, I think it's all bullshit personally, and it's not my thing. Well, how could you feel that way? You know what God does every time? He smited the demons, and he did it, and they just start going on this tangent instead of seeking to understand. And that's what I witnessed Sean do one time. Sean was in his own house having a barbecue on his own property, and one of our friends is an atheist or doesn't believe, and the conversation came up, and man, Sean, I mean, he challenged Sean really hard, not like in a disrespectful way, but he was like serious, like, no, that's all bullshit. You know, your whole profession, life, and what you believe in, sir, is not real. Like, basically, is what he said.
Yeah. And
Sean did such a great job of seeking to understand and ask thought-provoking questions and have a good conversation.
Right.
And the points that Sean would deliver was, you know, hey, well, you know, just keep in mind that, you know, prime example, one of the things that was says was, well, how can God be real if all these horrendous things were done in the name of God? And he let that go down, right? And you know, Sean came back, he's like, you know, keep in mind, evil is a real thing, right? And evil does exist in man. And he said, just know, and I think which is a prime example of nowadays, like, there's billions upon billions upon billions of people that have existed that just prayed, kept to themselves, didn't cause no drama, just did their thing. And that doesn't sell. That doesn't sell tickets. That doesn't get told stories about. It's the radical negative things that usually is the thing that, you know, people sell, and it happens in all religions. He said, so, you know, of course you heard a lot of things that happen in the name of God, but the ratio compared to is very, very, you know, unbalanced. And I thought that was like an incredible point that I'll never forget in my life and took home with me. Because here you had a couple people chiming in, including myself, saying, dude, what are you talking about? God is this, God is that. And I was humbled. I was like, that's not what you say to somebody when you're having that conversation. If you're going to have a conversation, you have the conversation. You seek to understand and seek to listen, not, you need to do this because I said so, and the word is in my veins. Look at me. I'm a walking testament. You know what I mean?
And everybody has their thing too. And that reminded me of seeing, again, you know, back to social media bullshit. This person that will post things and goes in on people and has like no problem, you know, busting people's balls for views on whatever it is. But the minute somebody posted something that was going against, the way he put it was like, you know, making fun of Christians, then it was like, then he just lost his mind about that. I'm like, So you can't have it both ways, buddy. You know, you really you spend all the time looking at, you know, doing this. I mean, if we pull up your whole list of your bullshit, and then this person cracks it, like really it was cracking a joke, but yeah, maybe you'd find it offensive, maybe not, depending on, you know, where you land in that spectrum. But it was like, yeah, that's. Yeah, you can't. You don't get to pick and choose that kind of stuff. Like all of a sudden now, all of your bad shit is like that's okay, but this one little thing. Is,
that reminds me of comedy, right?
Like,
I think I love edgy comedy. I love all kinds of. I love racist jokes. I love sexist jokes. I love all the jokes. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't laugh at memes. You know what I mean? I might not like them, but I mean, I don't like anything that's hate filled. I don't like anything that is something that is a descendant upon hate, right?
Well, we were talking about like the classic cartoons and TV shows and shit. Oh my God, dude, go back
Jesus.
to some of the just
Looney Tunes
I mean, but the comedians back in the day. I mean, like even like 60s, 70s, like some of the stuff that. I mean, you go back, it's like, damn, I forgot how it's like, not only was that edgy for TV, that was just like now people would lose their fucking minds if they
some
heard
of the names they would say.
But I remember sitting around with relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents.
Of all descendants.
Different religions, different races, and that's all they did was bust each other's balls in ways like now you could not say that stuff. You could not. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying that's the way it was, and it's pretty fucking wild.
Well, and that's what I'm getting at is like, you know, if you can, there can't be any off limits if you're going to go down that well or that path of comedy, right? If you're going to have comedy that's going to be edgy about race, religion, you know, people, places, things like all that, right? And it's not a derivative of hate, right? Meaning, you know, some like really foul stuff, you know, like we all have shit we can be laughing at. We all have shit that we do. Every single one of us on this earth, every single ethnicity, every single religion that is hilarious, right? Let's just be honest, right? Mm-hmm. You can't have any kind of limits because that tells me that, oh, okay. So, you know, you're able to make black jokes. You're able to make, you know, fat jokes. You're able to make all these racist or comments all day long until somebody talks about your cross-eyed wife. Then all of a sudden, cross-eyed jokes are off the table. You see what I'm saying? That's a funny example, but my point is like if you're going to go down there, nobody can be off limits because then that tells me that they're not jokes to you. That tells me that there's a little bit of truth to that to you. Now, are there jokes that are like classless, or are there jokes that are like at the expense of
100%.
Yeah, and that's not what I'm talking about here. You know, if you see somebody with Down syndrome, there's a lot of Down syndrome videos that are hilarious on Instagram right now, right? But if you see somebody with Down syndrome and you're making fun of that person because they have Down syndrome, not because they did something funny, that's a problem. You see what I'm saying? That's where I draw the line for me. That's not funny, right? That's not funny. Or any other, that's an example, right? Or any other, you know, this is an edgy podcast, boy. We might get canceled up in here.
I don't think this is this bad.
I love it because nobody wants to talk about this shit, right? Nobody wants to say these things, right? People want to say, oh no, I like to watch memes that are, you know, praise God. And I want to talk about memes that are always inspiring. You know what I mean? Yeah, right, motherfucker. You're watching them fucking big booty fucking videos, you know what I mean, countless times over and over again.
Hey, now, didn't have any sinners, wouldn't church be out of business, right?
That's right.
Come on now.
Yeah, that's right. But my point is so many people are like, try to act like, you know, my feed, when you look at my feed, like my, what is it, my FYP page. Oh my gosh, it's you talk about a spectrum. We're like from one side to the other. It is like crazy on things that I look at, laugh at, get send out. It's hilarious. I mean, you've seen some of the stuff, but you know, overall, again, we didn't expect this podcast to turn this way, but it kind of just organically did. You know, overall, man, you know what I mean? Whenever you're trying to, and this isn't totally about religion. I'm glad we talked about it. It's really about just like the way that people communicate and the way that people think that they need to tell everybody how to live their lives. Motherfucker, have you looked at your life lately? have you looked at what's going on in your home? There are so many things, Chet, that I can do so much better in my own house. Why do you think I never give relationship advice? Has anybody ever noticed that the content that I put out has nothing to do with relationships advice? You want to know why? You know why?
I mean, I know why. For me, because I'm the last person that's going to be doing that.
I don't think I'm very good at them.
No, I'm saying like no.
I'm a divorcee, right? I was engaged, right? And I'm married now. And my marriage, you know what I mean? I love my wife to death. God bless her. But man, we have a very difficult marriage. Not anything serious, just the dumb shit like crumbs in the butter, toast crumbs in the butter jar and dumb shit like that, right? But like, dude, like
ended a 13-year relationship for me.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet. But my point is like, dude,
that's what I called it, was crumbs in the butter.
Yeah, my point is like, dude, like I don't give out advice on relationships because I don't know if I'm qualified to.
I think a lot of times people too, they give out all of this advice and they're really regurgitating things. And I'm not talking about people who've been through it, lived it, like they do it on a professional level even. But I think some people, as a distraction from their own lives, they feel like they need to tell other people what they should be doing or how they need to do it. And even if it's not something that they've experienced and was a positive for them and it actually helped them, well, I'm going to tell you because then I don't have to look in the mirror. I don't have to work on my own shit.
Yeah,
spend all my time telling everybody else what to.
I agree with that. I you know what else I love? I love the amnesia that people suffer from nowadays. Right? I've had countless people on my podcast promoting their events, promoting their things. Right? Here's the way I operate. Right? If you do something for me. Right. If you do something for me out of the graces of even if it's business or if it's night, if you do something for me, I remember that. I remember that. And that puts you in a different box with me. Right. And then for me, if you do something I don't agree with after you've helped me out, I'm going to either ignore it and just blow by it because everybody's got their own opinion or everybody makes mistakes or whatever. Or I'm going to message you or I'm going to call you or I'm going to sit down in front of you and tell you how I feel. I've had people, and you've seen this, I've had people that I've helped on my podcast, giving out referrals to, told people, promoted their events, promoted their cause, promoted their shit. And then the minute they see something they don't like online, they got the little fucking mouths running and little comments and shit like that. And I remember every single one. Well, yeah, okay. I was having that conversation you were with me the other day about people in their past and how many bitch ass motherfuckers there are out here that forget who they were before. Now, this doesn't mean that people can't change and people can't improve their lives, but this also means is like, dog, if you were stealing people's cheesesteaks on the side of the road while they were drunk back in the day, chances are you didn't ask for forgiveness for that thing. Chances are that was just a chalked up drunk thing that you never said anything. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't.
What is your version of that now? What are you doing?
Correct. That's correct. What are you doing now? You know what I mean? How's your reputation now? Or, if you were some fucking, dweeb that was getting picked on in school and then you ran to hide behind a profession, money, or some sort of muscles or some sort of shit where you never really handled that little getting picked on. I got picked on. When I was in school. I got bullied a lot. I didn't go out here to fight to beat everybody's ass because I got bullied. I went out here to protect myself and stand up for myself, and then I found different ways for me to prosper in that. But if you're hiding behind these little facades because you never dealt with your shit, chances are you're still a fucking dweeb and you're still a little fucking bitch from back in the day or whatever you are. I don't let that shit go. And dude, there's so much shit, man. There's so much shit that I have like here locally with a lot of these people around here that, not that I'm going to like pull it out one day and use it. It's just funny. I sit back and I watch these people who suffer from amnesia and forget the bullshit that people forget, the bullshit they're on, the bullshit they've done, the bullshit they continue to do, or the helps and favors that other people have done for them. And when it's convenient, they want to, hate on somebody or turn their back. I've seen it countless times, and I don't forget it. I don't ever forget it. But it's funny how we suffer, quote unquote, suffer from that problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, again, you do something for me, I'm going to remember that shit. I'm going to remember that shit. I'm going to hold you to a different standard. You know what I mean? And then if there is an issue, or there is a problem, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to be a man about it and talk to you about it, or I'm just going to fucking ignore it. A lot of this shit ain't even that fucking big of a deal. So many of these dudes and people think that like every little mishap is got to be talked about. Let's talk about this. Let's express our feelings. Let's make a comment.
Man, it feels so good. There's so much freedom in just like ignoring shit. Sometimes, I mean,
Who
like,
you telling?
like some stuff is just like, man, yeah. How does it affect me? Does it affect me?
Is it going to matter in 5 days, 5 months, or 5 years? Right?
What'd you say? If it's not making me money, not
If it ain't feeding me, funding me, or fucking me, I don't give a fuck. If it ain't feeding me, funding me, or fucking me, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Thank you. I appreciate that. That's my statement for the day.
I remember that.
All right, guys. Well, that'll wrap us up. This kind of, this is an interesting champ talk. We had a good time. We laughed. We cried. We did all the things. But guys, tune in next week to another episode of Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. It's good to have Chet back on here. And remember, please, if you get value from this, please share it, like, subscribe to any platform that you're listening on or watching. Give us a review. Share it to somebody who get value with this. We do this stuff, again, for all for free, just to give you guys value. Until next time, what are you doing today to become a champion?